Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the second UEFA Champions League match preview of the season, where for once Celtic fans head into the glamour tie of the competition with a spring in our step, with hope in our hearts that maybe, just maybe, Celtic will come back from Germany with a positive result, that maybe, just maybe, we'll avoid that 6-0 humping and maybe we'll actually have a smile on our face coming back from one of the big boys in Europe. Fast forward to the match reaction and we've probably been humped 6-0. Nonetheless, let's talk about that. If you haven't already, please make sure to head down below, hit like, hit subscribe. It would be much appreciated as we try and head towards 50,000 subscribers on the channel. If you're optimistic, if you're happy, if you're looking forward to our trip to Dortmund tomorrow night, make sure to hit that like button. And remember, if you want to become a channel member, you can do that down below by using the top line of the description or that join button. But nonetheless, it's time to talk about the football. And I can't believe how chipper I am, how excited I am heading into one of these big European games where normally we're expecting the worst. For once, Celtic fans, including myself, we have our hopes high. And rightly so. So match day 1 of the competition, we started off exactly how you would dream of it. A 5-1 win against Slovan Bratislava, which leaves us here in the group so far, heading into match day 2. We're second in the Champions League. And listen, I've heard it all. I've heard the Rangers fans, I've heard everyone else who's decided to come into the comment section and remind me it's only Slovan Bratislava. At the end of the day, they're in the Champions League, and a few of you who are commenting about it, aren't they? So, you know what? You can only beat what's in front of you, and Celtic done it in very reassuring and very positive fashion. You know, something to give us a bit of optimism and a bit of excitement moving forward in this Champions League campaign. So don't let anybody take that away from you. There is a reason that we head to Dortmund tomorrow night in high spirits. The football that Celtic have been playing to start our league season, to start our League Cup campaign, and of course our Champions League campaign, has brought a smile to the faces and just a general atmosphere that I haven't felt as a Celtic supporter in a long time. So, you know, we're rightfully feeling confident heading to the Westfalenstadion tomorrow night. I think for once we head into one of these glamour ties where there is a genuine belief that we could leave with a result. And don't get me wrong, it's not quite up there with the difficulty of Real Madrid, who we faced a couple of years ago, or Bayern Munich back in 2017, or PSG, Barcelona. You know, it doesn't quite match that level of competition, but this is the Champions League finalists last season. Remember that, they were runners-up in this competition, and despite what has been, you know, a pretty dodgy start to the season for them, we're still facing one of Europe's top sides, littered with talent. This is a glamour tie. We're heading to the stadium that most football fans look at as a mecca of the sport. It's one of the bucket list stadiums for most football fans, the biggest in Germany. This has got all the makings of a Champions League classic tomorrow night, and us as Celtic fans can only hope that we walk out the other side of it as happy as we are going into it. So we've got a few things to cover tonight. I'm generally really excited for the game, and let's try and break it down, shall we? Can I just very quickly add in, I'm recording this video before Brendan Rodgers' press conference. I've been waiting all day for it to try and record after it, but the length of time that it's took for Brendan to take to the microphone is getting a bit tedious, so I will edit in any breaking news as I'm editing the video later on tonight. But for now, Brendan Rodgers has not spoken. Let's talk about the opposition, shall we? Who does Celtic face tomorrow night? Well, we head to that beautiful, gorgeous Westfalenstadion in North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany, the home of Borussia Dortmund and last year's Champions League finalists. Borussia Dortmund have underachieved over the past decade, there is no denying it, but still one of the biggest clubs, not only in Germany, but the entire continent. You go anywhere in the world, you will see Borussia Dortmund shirts, just like you will see Celtic shirts, one of the most supported and loved sides in world football, who are always in the conversation for Bundesliga titles, for Pokal wins, for the Champions League. They are a team that always find themselves fighting, even if they're a little bit off the pace, which they have been for the last couple of years. Listen, Dortmund aren't a great side at the minute. You know, they don't have the same sort of quality that they maybe had a few years ago, definitely 10 years ago when they were winning Bundesliga titles. But they've still been in the mix, They've still been up there, and they'll certainly be a tough test for Celtic tomorrow night. This really now is the measuring stick for Celtic, I would say, to see how far we can compete with the big boys. This is a European finalist, a Champions League finalist that we're taking on. And despite them having what has been a kind of mixed start to the season in terms of results, in terms of how they've played, this really will be the indication as to whether or not Celtic have done their work and done their work to the correct quality required to compete with these sides. It's a very difficult venue to go to. It's a very difficult side to just expect Celtic to win the game. But the football that we've been playing, and then when you weigh up the fact that Dortmund haven't been great, it's bringing out a lot of optimism in Celtic supporters, and there is a reason for that. Currently sitting 5th in the Bundesliga table, Dortmund have 3 wins, a draw and a loss to their name. Their most recent game was a dodgy one against Bochum in the Bundesliga. They were down 2-0 in the game, ended up coming back to win 4-2, but it's off the back of that 5-1 defeat they suffered to the hands of Bundesliga runners-up Stuttgart the week before, which has got Celtic fans talking, which has got Dortmund fans talking. It's got a little bit of a mess going on at Borussia Dortmund. Sporting director Sebastian Kehl himself, former Dortmund player, came out and criticised the team publicly, criticised the attitude of the players publicly, and it's left Nuri Sahin and his new-looking Dortmund side in a little bit of a sticky situation. This is a team under transition. Manager Edin Terzic left last season, so Nuri Sahin has come in. He's changed a little bit of the way they play. He's changed the personnel at the team. Big hitters such as Mats Hummels, Marco Reus and Nicholas Füllkrug have all moved on. There's a lot of young players in this Dortmund side, but it's a Dortmund side that still possess a hell of a lot of talent, and probably a significant amount of talent more than what we have, just because, well, the differences in finances, league, it's just general football. We know how it works at this point. But it's certainly a team that Celtic can take all the way if we play our best on the night. The player Celtic need to look out for tomorrow night, and the player they need to keep under control, is the current goal scorer at Borussia Dortmund, Serhou Guirassy, who has been unbelievable since switching from Stuttgart to Dortmund last season. He has 4 goals and 4 appearances, including 2 at the weekend. He was one of the most informed strikers in the league last season, and certainly has a lot of talents, a lot of attributes that can puzzle the Celtic defenders. I tell you that right now. So we need to keep him under control. There is a few great attacking players. I mean, Gittins has been brilliant for them as well, the young winger at Borussia Dortmund. Keep an eye out for him. It is a lot of changing faces at Dortmund at this moment in time. It's not the same familiar ones that we've been used to in recent years. Jadon Sancho, for example, who was there again last season. Jude Bellingham, who was there a couple of years ago. Royce, who was there for the past 10 or so years. It's a very different side, but they've brought in great players. Maximilian Bayer, who was brought in from Hoffenheim, who's a great goal scorer, great striker. Of course, Pascal Gross, who's come in from the Premier League from Brighton. He was a very good performer for them over recent years. They've solid defenders as well, but there is parts of that Dortmund team that I certainly expect to see Celtic take advantage of. I've watched enough of them to know what kind of expect. What Celtic need to take advantage of tomorrow is the way that they play on the flanks, the way that the fullbacks play in particular. Right now, their favoured fullbacks are Jan Koto on the right and Ryerson on the left-hand side. Both of them love to push high. They love to get up the park, and that's exactly what Celtic can take advantage of tomorrow. With Dyson Maeda and Nicholas Kuhn playing the way they have, and the way that we've seen them play at the weekend as well against St Johnstone, exploit that. Get on the counter-attack. When we win the ball back in phases of play, get Maeda and Kuhn bombing up the park. Take advantage of Ryerson and Jan Koto getting high. We've seen it against St Johnstone where Celtic would maybe favour a long ball rather than trying to pass it out from the back. Don't be scared to do that in Dortmund tomorrow night. And you need to kind of change things up. You need to alter the way that you play in these big games, because you're not going to see as much of the ball. You're not going to be able to play the way that you do at Celtic Park on a week-to-week basis in the Scottish Premiership. You have to adapt. You have to overcome the obstacles. And one of the obstacles will be, it's not going to be easy to pass through the field if you've got a midfield of Emre Can, Pascal Gross and Julian Brandt there. You're going to need to be able to try and do different things. And against St Johnstone, we were brilliant at getting that ball up long. We were getting it off the ground, sending it up for Maeda Kuhn to get on the end of, and we scored a couple of goals from it. And tomorrow, if they push their fullbacks high enough, do that. Take advantage of that. Get the ball down to Dyson Maeda. And I don't think that Jan Koto, for example, is a fantastic defender. Dyson Maeda can torture him. Granted, watch him go out and probably have his best game as a Dortmund player so far if he starts tomorrow night, but get the ball long, get it to Maeda, push up at the park as quickly as we can, and I think Dortmund will struggle to deal with that. If you watch how Bochum scored their goals against them, if you watch how Stuttgart scored their goals against them, that's 7 goals in 2 games they've conceded. Go and watch the highlights from the games. Celtic have got easy homework to do there, and I think that it's easy to pick out the mistakes and what Dortmund try to do defensively, and I think a big part of that is going to be exploiting the width in Maeda and Kuhn. So yeah, I think that that's something that we should definitely focus on heading into tomorrow night. We'll just need to wait and see. New manager Nuri Sahin has spoke about Celtic. He's given his opinion on the side and has given us kind of a glowing reference in his pre-match press conference. This is what he said about the challenge. He said, you're talking about a team who haven't lost for many games and haven't even lost a goal in their league. They were very dominant in their first match in the Champions League. What can you say about Celtic? They're a prestigious club with amazing talent in their squad and a fantastic coach. It will be a challenge for us, but at the same time, a big challenge, a huge challenge, which they didn't have this season playing in our stadium. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't think it's fair to call them underdogs, to be honest, and that seems to be one of the main narratives heading into this game is, are Celtic the underdogs? And I think that's what's flipped in Celtic fans' psyche as well. I think that if you go and ask a Celtic fan, they're favouring our chances tomorrow night in Germany. When I was in Perth on Sunday, I bumped into a few people that watched the channel, and even on the supporters bus was talking to some of the guys there. And we're all feeling confident. We're all feeling that Celtic could get a result. It's a much different feeling. And Celtic need to capitalise on that. You know, we've been fantastic, and we've been playing well, and we've been doing things right. Keep doing those things right, and Dortmund will struggle to contain that tomorrow. By no means are you taking on a team of world beaters in Germany tomorrow, and you've just got to be brave. You've got to be able to go for it, and we have all the players that can give them a hard time. You think of the attributes that Kyogo has, that Maeda has, that Kuhn has. You know, if we can exploit that, it's something that Dortmund aren't used to dealing with. In Germany, you know, there's a lot of big guys up front. And Nuri Sahin actually commented on this himself. He made a remark towards Kyogo saying that he's not the typical striker. I'll put it on screen. He's not a typical striker like we're used to. A big one. He's very smart. He likes to move off the ball. And it's funny he brings that up because, as I was kind of touching on, in Germany, you know, there's a lot of big strikers, a lot of big guys. Even Dortmund had one themselves in Nicholas Füllkrug. They've got him now, Maximilian Bayer as well. Yeah, it's something different, and listen, let's shake it up for them. Let's make it unpredictable for them. If you do that, you're going to give yourself the best chances of success. So yeah, very, very exciting, very difficult, but very exciting. So let's talk about us. Let's talk about our personnel heading to Germany tomorrow night. There has been a few big conversations as to who should maybe start, who should maybe be dropped, who should play to start the game against Borussia Dortmund tomorrow night. We're waiting for Brendan Rodgers to update us on Cameron Carter-Vickers. That's the big one. His press conference right now is scheduled for maybe half an hour's time from recording. So I'm going to jump forward to future Ryan and see if I have an update. If not, then we'll just need to try and go about things delicately. So yeah, it's as simple as this for me. If he's fit, he plays. It's Cameron Carter-Vickers. He's our best centre-half. And I don't think there's much else I need to add to it than that. We'll get through Rodgers' comments, hopefully, and see what we're dealing with, what the assessment of him is. But listen, Austin Trusty done enough for me at the weekend to kind of ease my worries a little bit. Listen, it's still not ideal heading into such a big game against, you know, Champions League finalists without your best defender. But I think that it's a big stage for Trusty to jump himself into, but I think it's one that he might be able to handle. So yeah, we'll just need to wait and see. If Vickers isn't there, it's going to be Scales and Trusty at the back, and it's as simple as that. Which brings me on to my starting 11 prediction. I can only think of one big change from the weekend that I would make, and that's Rio Hatate in for Paulo Bernardo. So aside from that, I think the team stays the same for me. Now, a lot of people are going to be, Ryan, you can't drop Bernardo or whatnot. And listen, you know, I love Paulo Bernardo, and he'll definitely get his say in the game. He'll come onto the park at some point. But Rio Hatate is different gravy. He was made for these Champions League games. And every time he plays in the Champions League, whether he's playing Slovan Bratislava or Real Madrid, he looks like he belongs. And that is why, for me, he starts the game tomorrow night. It's the things he can do, the individual brilliance that he can bring in moments that really can shift the focus and the direction of a game. You know, even his assist against Bratislava, just the way that he got the ball to Maida and the way that he shimmies and gets the ball over, it's different class, and you're going to need that when you're up against, once again, I'll name drop them, Emre Can and Pascal Gross, Julian Brandt, the middle of the park that they have. When you're up against that, you need your best players out there, and Rio Hatate is one of our best players. I'm not saying Paulo Bernardo isn't, but I actually think that his energy off the bench could be more vital than Hatate off the bench, to be quite honest. So, yeah, for me, that's the only big change. Aside from that, the team picks itself for me. You know, I don't think there's much point in getting into any headache scenarios. You know, people might talk about Ida and having a physical presence. No, it's got to be Kyogo, and I'm a big Ida guy myself, but it's got to be him. Maida, Kuhn, McGregor, Engels. The team picks itself. It does. It's as simple as that, and we're so lucky to be blessed with the depth that we have at the minute, and hopefully we get an update on Vickers. Yeah, listen, on screen, I don't know if I have Trusty or Vickers in yet, but it's got to be one of the two, depending on the fitness situation. Yeah, the team picks itself for me. And yeah, I mean, score prediction, should I bother? I don't know. Listen, I want Celtic to get the win tomorrow night. Can we get the win? Absolutely. Will we get the win? I'm not so certain on that. But listen, I really think that we can keep this game close. Avoid those silly mistakes that, you know, we've been prone to in recent years in Europe, and who knows what we're walking away with tomorrow night. Don't get 2 red cards, please. None of that. Yeah, I'm buzzing, absolutely buzzing. And when I come on the channel tomorrow live to do my lineup reaction, we'll see how we're feeling then, because things might change, who knows. Anyway, that does it for my match preview. Sorry it is out a bit later, and sorry we don't have the guarantees and the definites of Brendan Rodgers. It's just if I wait any longer, you know, the video's going to be out at a very unideal time. So yeah, if you enjoyed, like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time. Shout out to everybody who has joined the 118 Club or the Thunder Club thus far. Thank you for your continued support here on Ryan 118, and enjoy your moment of glory here on screen.